Welcome back to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something that's literally reshaping how we think about housing and finance. We're looking at a rent-to-own pathway called Ijara Muntaya Bitamlik. Now I know that might sound complex, but it basically transforms the entire concept of paying rent. We're going to break down exactly how this mechanism takes a regular monthly expense and turns it into a tangible asset. For folks traditionally locked out of homeownership, this is a real game changer. I am absolutely thrilled to walk you through this today because the mechanics here are just fascinating.
All right, here's our roadmap for today's explainer. We'll start by looking at the housing gap, then jump into the 5 core principles of this model. After that, we've got the math reveal, followed by the Sharia advantage, and finally, we'll wrap up with flexible evaluation and safe exits. Let's get right into it.
So I want you to start by just asking yourself, what if the rent you pay every single month could actually build your ownership instead of just disappearing without a trace? You know, for most of us, paying rent kind of feels like dropping money into a bottomless well, right? You get a roof over your head for 30 days, sure. But at the end of the year, you've got exactly zero equity to show for it. Imagine if that exact same monthly check actually acted as an active investment into your own future property. Well, that's the core promise we're exploring today.
Section 1, the housing gap. We're talking about the middle-class crisis here.
When you look at the options available today, it's really a system of extremes. Traditional rent, it's a dead end. It wastes your money and leaves you with a 100% capital loss. On the other end, a cash buy is, frankly, impossible for the vast majority of families since you need the full amount up front. And then there's the traditional mortgage. Sure, it seems like the standard path, but it blocks you with huge down payment requirements. Plus, it completely ignores anyone whose income falls outside a strict corporate salary.
So, what happens? This creates what the source accurately calls a missing middle. We're talking about a massive gap of highly capable earners. These are families who can easily afford a regular monthly payment. I mean, they're already doing it with their current rent, but they're forced to rent forever simply because they can't cough up years of accumulated savings on day one to satisfy a bank's down payment. They are financially responsible, yet entirely excluded from ownership. It's incredibly frustrating.
Section 2, the 5 principles. Let's look at how this rent-to-own model actually works.
Our source outlines 5 guiding principles that completely flip the script on homeownership. First off, absolutely zero down payment is required. None. Second, the final ownership price is fixed on day one, which legally shields you from crazy real estate inflation down the road. Third, you just pay a single dual installment every month. Part goes to rent, part goes to equity. Fourth, that equity you're buying, it is fully documented and unerasable. It legally belongs to you immediately. And finally, the whole shebang is secured through a bank escrow account for total financial transparency. So we're replacing massive capital barriers with one manageable, legally protected monthly payment.
And the actual life cycle of this process is beautifully simple. Step 1, you explore your options and calculate your precise terms. Step 2, you apply. And hey, notice this key detail. Informal income is actually accepted. The system uses alternative data to verify you. Step 3, you sign a fixed digital contract and set up the escrow. Step 4 is where the magic really happens. You just pay your monthly installment and watch your equity grow month by month. Finally, step 5, at the end of the term, you complete full ownership. You literally get the keys.
Section 3, the math reveal. Let's talk the language of numbers.
Okay, so to get started on a home valued at, let's say, 6 million Algerian dinars, or DZD, you need exactly 0 dinars as a down payment. Let that sink in for a second. 0. The absolute biggest barrier to entry, that massive lump sum we all dread, is completely erased from the equation.
Instead of a down payment, you just make a manageable monthly payment, say 36,000 DZD. But here is the genius part. That payment automatically splits. So in this example, 24,000 covers your rent for the month. The remaining 12,000 instantly buys you documented equity in that home. You aren't just a tenant anymore. Every single month, you actually become a slightly larger part owner of the property.
Just look at how this wealth accumulates over 5 years. By month 12, you've already built over 147,000 DZD in equity. Month 36, you're sitting at over $463,000. And by month 60, without ever paying a single dinar as a down payment, you've securely banked over 811,000 DZD. That's a 13.5% ownership stake in the property. You have systematically built wealth simply by paying your standard housing expense. How cool is that?
Section 4, the Sharia advantage. Let's see how this creates a huge competitive edge. Now, the crucial structural model used here is called diminishing musharaka, and it's essentially a true partnership. As you buy more equity each month, your ownership slice grows. Because of strict Sharia principles, it's actually forbidden to charge you rent on the portion of the house you already own. Makes sense, right? So the rent you pay is only calculated on the fund's shrinking share of the property. This means your rent charge structurally drops every single month. When we compare the paths, the difference is night and day. If you are trapped in a standard fixed rent model where the rent portion stays static over 5 years, your final equity on that 36,000 DZD payment would only be 720,000 DZD, or 12%. But with the dynamic sliding scale of diminishing musharaka, your rent portion shrinks. Mathematically, that forces more and more of your monthly payments straight into your own pocket as equity. You end up with over 811,000 DZD, hitting that 13.5% ownership mark.
Over just a 5-year term in our example, this unique structural rule literally saves you 392,000 DZD compared to a traditional fixed model. That's a lot of money. It proves that this framework isn't just about regulatory or religious compliance, it's a massive, quantifiable win for your wallet. It actively accelerates your path to ownership.
Section 5, Flexible Evaluation and Safe Exit. We're looking at human-centric safety nets here.
The system definitely doesn't force everyone into a one-size-fits-all box. It actually offers 3 tailored contracts. You've got the standard model, which is great for fixed, stable payments. Then there's an accelerated model if you can handle a higher equity slice upfront to reach ownership faster. And brilliantly, there's a flexible model. This one is designed specifically for folks with variable, freelance, or informal incomes, meaning the equity portion can actually adapt to your monthly earnings fluctuations.
Now this is an absolute game changer. The rigid walls of traditional mortgages are totally replaced by smart, secure evaluation. Don't have a standard corporate pay stub? No problem. The system looks at your actual, real-world ability to pay. It analyzes alternative data, things like your history of consistently paying utility bills or tracking freelance cash flows. It validates the informal economy, pulling millions of capable individuals into the formal housing market, and it does it all while strictly adhering to data privacy laws.
But hey, life happens. What if things go wrong? Well, the safety nets are incredibly robust. If you need an early exit, you aren't trapped. Your accumulated equity is returned to you, minus a small, transparent processing fee. And in the case of default, you get grace periods and restructuring. Crucially, without the nightmare of compounding penalty interest. The fund just repurchases your accumulated share and relists the home. Basically, you walk away with the money you saved instead of losing everything you invested. Which brings us to the end of our explainer today. And I want to leave you with a critical question to ponder. Are you ready to stop paying rent that disappears today so you can build your ownership for tomorrow? The Ijara Muntahiya Batamlik framework proves that with the right structure, the missing middle doesn't have to be missing anymore. The tools absolutely exist to turn monthly expenses into lifelong assets. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive, and as always, keep questioning the systems around you.